Oh, yeah, this is awesome. This is really, really cool. Our good friend, weekly guest, he normally is a Thursday appearance with us, but he's in studio today because the Vikings are out here playing the Raiders, and he's doing his show along with Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, out here from Planet Hollywood today from a Buffalo Wild Wings. So he's up early today, super early. It's Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. Good to see you, pal.
It's so good to be here in person, see my friends. And, we've been friends for a long time. I mean, longer than VSiN. And
it must be touching 2 decades now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So great to be here. I don't normally travel in season, but Vikings, Raiders are here. So a great opportunity. And we get to hang out in person. It's great.
This is awesome. Yep. Yeah. So you're going to hang out here until the top of the hour. We have 3 full segments coming up. We'll get into the weekly fantasy stuff that you always run down. Let's start with NFL futures, though. And we've been talking, the MVP stuff. We try to do weekly awards here on the show throughout the NFL season and how they change and who you might want to look at. So the Purdy stuff now is the shortest shot on the board for the MVP. And we've been saying, well, he can't win because he's the last pick in the draft. That doesn't make any sense to me. Another guy who we said, Charge, is like, what, he can't win because he's a rookie? I mean, that's silly.
Yeah.
How is C.J. Stroud 30-1?
30-1 on C.J. Stroud, leading the NFL in passing yards. There's a scenario here. Part of it MVP can be driven at least a little bit, guys, by the storyline that goes with it, which I think helps Brock Purdy, right? The storyline is so good, it might actually garner some extra votes. But we know to get votes for MVP, you have to be a quarterback, and you've got to have requisite number of wins. Win your division, you can't back into the playoffs. There's a path here for C.J. Stroud. At plus 3,000, I'm interested. So let's talk about the path a little. By the way, there's some terrible, terrible other MVP odds out there, like Patrick Mahomes plus 700. If you've watched Patrick Mahomes, he does not belong anywhere near that number.
I said this week I'm drawing a line through him.
Can't. Lamar Jackson has contributed 4 touchdowns in the last month of football.
Wow.
You can't. He's and he's plus 800. I mean, there are way worse bets out here than C.J. Stroud plus 3,000. And I feel like the natural odds where he really ought to be is more like plus 1,500, not 3,000. So I feel like there's a big overlay here. So let's talk it through for a second. Your league leader in passing yards, which we love. Houston's got to go on a run, but they can. Listen to the opposing quarterbacks Houston's going to face. And just ask yourself, just straight up, like Stroud versus Zach Wilson. Advantage Stroud. Stroud versus either Joe Flacco or DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Now, it's the Browns. It's a great defense, but that's still very possibly a Houston win.
The game's at home. Cleveland's defense struggles on the road.
I like that angle, too. Yep. Very good. Gardner Minshew. Yep. I'll take the C.J. Stroud side of it. And then Will Levis twice. That's win-win. I mean, the win-out scenario here for Houston is pretty good. And you might be thinking, well, hey, they've got some losses. Their last 3 losses, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points. I mean, they're the games they've lost since week 2. They started 0-2, and they didn't look good in those games. They've been a tough out. Now, giving them further on this, we need Jacksonville to fade a little bit so that they can catch up 1 game on Jacksonville. So Jacksonville likely starting C.J. Beathard or a very hobbled Trevor Lawrence, right? So we got an option possibly winning there. Jacksonville going to be underdogs at Cleveland. They've got Baltimore next week. I mean, that could be loss for Jacksonville right there. And now Houston's in first place in their division.
He's a rookie who might throw for 5,000 yards this year.
Staggering.
Right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we can go through a litany of awesome NFL quarterbacks with great long careers who never threw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really feel like Houston's in a spot where they can make the move. He's going to have the requisite stat line. And if Houston finds itself in the 3 seed, or even potentially the 2 seed is possible, game on for MVP, plus 3,000.
How concerned are you with the injuries?
Well, the Tank Dell loss is significant, so don't love that part. But they're kind of deep at wide receiver, right? Some veteran guys. Noah Brown has looked good in splashes. Robert Woods, decent enough guy. So, yeah, I think those things are going to be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Were we all saying that in August? They're kind of deep at wide receiver.
No, we were
chance,
not.
Right?
No.
Their win total was 6.5.
Yeah.
Here we are talking about a potential division-winning team. Also, I think I said this earlier in the previous hour. I think the winner of that final game between Houston and the Colts, if that decides a playoff spot, I think that's going to be your coach of the year, Steichen or Ryans.
Yep.
But you think Houston to win the AFC is also a good bet?
Houston to win the AFC. By the way, Houston to win their division is plus 300 right now. I like that bet too.
Okay.
But looking forward, while I'm here in Las Vegas, I'm going to bet Houston to win the AFC. I know it sounds absurd, but look at Jacksonville last year as the worst team in the AFC that went into the second round of the playoffs. We know it can be done here. The AFC just feels so vulnerable. Who's the great team in the AFC? The powerhouse team nobody can get past. It's not Kansas City, the way that offense has worked. It's not Buffalo with a bunch of weird-ass losses. Baltimore, that offense can struggle from time to time. The defense is great, but we've seen stretches where the offense doesn't play well. Miami doesn't beat anybody good.
Right.
They're savaging bad opponents, but then they go belly up against good teams. There isn't that one team that's like, well, Houston can't get by that team.
Yeah.
So I like that angle. This is a Houston team that had 1 win in September, 2 in October, 3 in November, and they're undefeated through 1 game in December. I mean, everything's trending the right way for Houston. I just feel like they're just not in the consciousness of America right now. They should be. Better defense than people realize, by the way, especially against the pass. Willie Anderson might be Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Could win it.
Yep. They could win Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year. Oh, they're going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised it's even still on the even
it should not be
bettable
on the
at this
board
point.
anymore.
Got to
Right,
win
exactly.
Sunday. The line's only 2.5. It's come down 4 points. The Zach Wilson angle and weather. I don't know.
Right.
It's bizarre. Okay, so great points. I'm with you on that one. Now, what's with the Detroit, though? I think you might have lost me here.
Yeah, so this is, again, I'm shopping for value, right? The Niners look terrific, and I would, plus 130 to make the Super Bowl. Those are odds I can't live with those odds.
Yep.
So I'm trying to find some other value here to represent the NFC for the Super Bowl. So let's talk through Detroit. By the way, exact same record as San Francisco. Detroit's got 9-3. Detroit's got a pathway to the number 1 seed. They're 1 win behind the Eagles, who could lose this week. Detroit's 6-2 in conference play. That could be an important tiebreaker for them as the seeding shakes out. Lions' remaining schedule is Chicago, already favored. That's this week. Then they get Denver. That's tricky, but leans Lions, right? I think Lions will be favored in that game. They're at Dallas. That's going to be the biggie right there. Can the Lions go to Dallas and win?
I don't think so.
That's going to be the big one.
It's going to be Jared Goff on the road against a really good defense. And while I like Goff, we've seen some of the old Jared here in the last couple of weeks, and that concerns me. Yeah. That would also concern me, like, if the Lions at some point have to go through San Francisco and win a game on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's going to be Goff against that defense. And now this defense, the way it's currently trending against, boy.
Why can't things go the other way? Why can't Dak implode in that game?
Right.
It's turnover issues.
He's got that in his DNA.
Yes, he does.
Right? And that defense can be really good, but Seattle and Geno Smith just went right through that defense. True. It's not an impossible defense to beat. Then the Lions have got the Vikings twice. So even though I give them 1 loss in here, they'd be sitting at 4 losses, so 13-4. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Game on. I know that's going to give them at least 1 home game, maybe 2 home games. Detroit can score with anybody in most situations. Run defense is really, really good for Detroit. Pass defense is not good.
Where are you at with Philadelphia?
So they've gone through this unbelievable run of opponents, right? And now they're in the 5th of 5 brutal matchups. The best part is, if they come out of this series of 5 games with 4 wins, how battle-tested are you?
No kidding.
I mean, you're just playoff ready. And I love that part. Now, they looked like a tired team last week. So now they got to shake that off, and they got to come back, and they got to play well. The Jalen Hurts injury drama is pretty real.
Yeah,
I think so.
There's a little something going on with him. They're not talking about it, but there's a little something happening there. Yeah.
It's follow the
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.